And from me, welcome to Thursday's programme.
First tonight, the tributes, grief and pride for the 3 Royal Anglians who have died this week as a result of the conflict in Afghanistan.
The 2 soldiers killed on Tuesday have been named as Lance Corporal Scott Hardy from Chelmsford and Private James Grigg from Stradbroke in Suffolk.
Well, they were killed just hours after another Viking, Captain Martin Driver, died in hospital. Our correspondent Natalie Gray is in Stradbroke, Private Grigg's home village, and joins us now. Natalie.
The memorial here honours the dead from the Great War and the Second World War, but they're going to have to add another name now. It's someone who's died that almost everyone in this village knew. Private James Grigg was one of 3 boys in his class at school who wanted to join the army. He got that wish all right, but it's cost him his life. Now, it hasn't been hard trying to find people to talk about him because he was so popular. This tribute reads, Griggsy, braver than many. The flag is half-mast because this village has lost one of its sons. Private James Grigg was killed on his first tour of duty. He was only 21. His parents are, of course, devastated. His weeping mother told me he loved the army, and she said it again, he loved the army. And that must be of some comfort. This is James with his best friend Mark Smith, who also serves with the Royal Anglians. He's on leave after returning from Kabul, and he can't believe he'll never see his friend again.
You know, he's a true best friend of mine and always will be, and was like a brother to me. So devastating, and words won't ever describe, what we've lost.
This is one of the smallest high schools in the country with just 350 pupils, so everyone knew James. This is him aged 11 and then at 12.
Many members of staff have some really warm memories of James. He was an absolutely delightful young man. And because this is such a close-knit community and school, it was a shock across the whole school, and many people have been sharing their memories of him.
The Grigg family used to run this pub in the village. Mary Ellis lived next door.
You hear of things that happen elsewhere, but when it comes to your own village, it's just frightening. I just feel so sad for them.
They're in mourning in Chelmsford too. Lance Corporal Scott Hardy died in the same explosion on Tuesday that killed Private Grigg. Corporal Hardy was 26. His girlfriend and childhood sweetheart Charlene said words couldn't express her sorrow. A 3rd Viking, Captain Martin Driver, died on Monday after being injured in a bomb blast a month ago. He was 31.
Well, it's always a shock when we lose people anyway, but to lose 3 in 12 hours was particularly tough. But how are the men coping? Well, quite well, really. We've lost quite a few in this conflict, and everyone has felt badly, and we just get on with it. Really, we cope, and we'll wait till after the tour, and then we'll have our period of mourning then.
15 Royal Anglians have died in Afghanistan. To many, they're just numbers, but not here in Stradbroke. This is a village really feeling pain.
So, Natalie, back to you. What happens over the next few days, then?
Right, well, we use the word shocked a lot, don't we? Perhaps too much, but Stradbroke really is a village in shock because, as we've heard, it's such a close-knit community. Now, in the next couple of days, there's going to be an assembly at the high school to honour James, and, of course, his parents must prepare to go down to Wootton Bassett to see their boy's body brought back home.
All right, Natalie, thank you very much for that. Well, next, the funding cuts that could prevent thousands of students from going to university.
For the first time since Labour came to power, spending on higher education has been cut.
Unions say it's a backward step, but the government says universities have to tighten their belts in these difficult times, just like everybody else. Emma Baker has more on that.
I believe you talked to your parents about it. How aware are your parents of this? How worried are they?
There was only one topic of conversation for students at Hills Road Sixth Form College in Cambridge today. The government cuts that leave 3/4 of English universities forced to reduce their real-term budget. These teenagers are just weeks away from sitting their A-levels. They told me how looming cuts were adding to their growing worries.
You've got enough pressure as it is, and then to actually know that you mess up one exam, you're not going to enter uni this year.
I think it's a bit unfair because if the funding's being cut, then the teaching quality is going to go down and we're going to be paying more.
I'm doing electrical engineering a lot, depends on the actual equipment the universities have got, and if they start cutting funding, then my education just gets worse.
The cuts could affect many aspects of university life, from teaching to research. And with the government capping university numbers, it'll make competition for every place much tougher. Figures put out by the Tories claim that a record 718,000 students across the UK will apply for university this year. But with a cap in place, only around 440,000 university places will be available. That means 275,000 students could miss out. One student representative at Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge and Chelmsford says the government's making a mistake.
The government over the past few years, set targets to get 50% of adults attending university by 2020, I believe. And they've completely contradicted themselves now by saying that, that they are going to cap the numbers so students can't go, and they're restricting the amount of money that goes into university. I don't see the logic there.
Anglia Ruskin did best out of all our universities in today's announcement, and in total 7 out of 12 will actually receive more money this year. But when 2% inflation's taken into account, 8 out of 12 will be worse off, while the Open University just breaks even. But the University Minister David Lammy has defended the cuts in this current financial climate, saying institutions have to do their fair share of belt-tightening, but these figures do not show a university system in crisis. But a Vice-Chancellor of the University of Bedfordshire and chair of a university think tank believes trouble could lie ahead.
Well, the cuts that we've seen today are significant, but they're manageable. The real problem we have is if they get any greater. And before this new funding round comes into place in September of the year, we could well have had 2 budgets and 1 comprehensive spending review. And after the election, if there were further cuts, it could be very damaging.
Today's cuts are yet another blow for a higher education sector facing increasing financial pressure. The future of these students may well be decided not just by their exam results, but by the priorities of whoever makes up the next government. Emma Baker, Anglian News, Cambridge.
Around 60 firefighters from across 2 counties have been tackling a major fire at a thatched property in Bedfordshire. Crews from across the county and Cambridgeshire were called to the house in Old Ways Road in Ravensden just after 1 o'clock this afternoon. Fire crews had to cut away part of the thatch to prevent the flames spreading from under the material. No one was in the house at the time. It's not yet known how the fire started.
Everybody's okay. Like I said, there was just a cat missing, which literally ran out about 5 minutes ago, so it's been in the house the whole time, but she's fine. So it's shocking. It's for my sisters, my mother and stepdad actually live here. They found it quite hard to take, but at least everybody's fine, I suppose. Everybody's out and they're well. So.
Well, that's the main thing now. A farmer from Milton Keynes has been in court over allegations that he allowed his donkey to attack other animals. Footage of Paco the stallion attacking a pig was shown to magistrates in Daventry. Paco's owner, Andrew Harding from Westcroft, said he saw no sign of the animal's violence until it was too late. Mr Harding was found guilty of 8 charges of animal neglect.
And next tonight,